Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. And I make videos all about the journey of starting a candle business. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I bulk make my candles. So I do have a fairly new way of doing it, and I just kind of want to share it with all of you. So the first thing that I have done here is I have laid out my fragrance oil. Now this is not all of my fragrance oil just because I need to buy more of these little silicone measuring cups. I only have 9 of them, so I really do need to order more of them. So what I have done is I have split everything up into essentially 3 batches of the same scent. So I like to basically scent batch. So instead of making like 3 or 4 of each scent and making a bunch of different scents, I really like to make about 8 in each scent and each size. So right over here we have my 10s. So these rows essentially are going to be 1 scent. So we're going to have 8 large, 8 small, 8 large, 8 small, and then it's going to go down. So we have 5 different scents here. Obviously, I only have 3 different scents prepped for you, but I'm just going to give you a basic idea of how I go about doing everything. So earlier this morning, I turned on both of my wax pots. My beeswax pot is right there, and then my soy wax pot is right there. And it is set to the correct temperature. I know that it says 174 right there, but it's actually more of like 185 to 190 in the actual pot. And then the beeswax is around 185 to 190 as well. And so essentially what I did was I just laid out everything on this table. Now, typically I'm not actually able to pour this many candles on a table just because of the way that I used to pour. But ever since I've been using this pistol funnel over here, which is what this is right here, I have been able to pour a lot more on a table. It has added to my pour time slightly, but it's still worth it to be able to pour about 80 candles plus. I could actually fit another row right there. So probably about 100 candles on here on one table, which is something that I could not even fathom before, the way that I had to pour. So essentially, I always pour all of my fragrances before I get into the candle making process. And that's just because I am very kind of quick with everything. So I'm constantly wanting to move on to the next thing. So I usually have 2 pitchers going on at once. So what I'll do is I'll fill up that pitcher, I'll put in the beeswax, and I'll pour in the fragrance oil. I'll stir it, put it off to the side. I'll take a new pitcher and get that filled up. And then once that is ready to go, I'll put that off to the side, and then I'll take the original one and then pour it into the pistol funnel and get started with pouring that. And then as soon as I'm done pouring that, I'll actually go through and start filling it up again with more, wax and fragrance in there. So essentially my whole thought process is to have the pouring pitchers, it is to have 2 pouring pitchers full at all times. And that really helps me kind of go through the process so much faster and so much quicker. And of course, that is definitely more of an advanced way to do it. If you're brand new to it or you're just getting started with doing bulk making for your candles, I would probably just recommend to get started with 1 pitcher because you don't want to get confused or overwhelmed with the amount of calculations and formulas and trying to remember what scent, and if it's the large one or the small one, it can kind of get confusing sometimes. So what I'm going to do right now is just get started because I am pretty much ready to go. I have my wax pots ready to go. They are turned on, and then all I'm going to do is just get started with making the first pitcher, and I will show you how I do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So getting started with the batch making, I'm just gonna come over here and put my fragrance oil right there. Now the way that I do this is slightly weird, I would say. I pour in my soy wax into here, and then I pour in my fragrance oil, get that all stirred up and blended, and then I take it over to my beeswax pot and I just add in the necessary amount of beeswax. And that's just because sometimes this beeswax pot it can kind of clog up on the actual nozzle and it can take some time. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting in that fragrance oil as close to that 185 as possible so that it can bind with the wax. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is take my heat gun, so my heat gun right here, and I'm going to heat up the pouring pitcher. And this is just so I am trying to keep it as close to the temperature in that digiboil as possible so that it's not cooling off too much as soon as it hits the pouring pitcher. So that is ready to go. I'm gonna turn on this, make sure it's on grams because that's what I prefer. Get that tared. And then I am going to get this all filled up. And then pour in this fragrance oil into here. And then get this stirred up before we add in the beeswax. All right, and then I take a new pouring pitcher. I just heated this up with the heat gun. And I'm actually going to use the same scent because I'm going to be using this pistol funnel. So it's actually easier to clean out the pouring pitchers in between scents than it is for the pistol funnel. So I'm going to do all of the same scent at once and use the same scent in both of these pouring pitchers. Going to tare that, get this going, get this mixed in there. So now these two are ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is take this pistol funnel and I'm going to, again, take the heat gun and get this all basically heated up and ready to go. All right, so that is ready to go. So now I'm going to pour this in there. Now it's not all going to fit. You do have to make multiple trips, which again kind of aids in the fact that it is going to slow it up a little bit. Birdie says hi, but it does make it to where it's way easier to actually pour it without spilling. All right, so I just turned on another light and I try to angle it to where you're able to really see how this works. But you just put it over and then you push down on the little lever and then the wax comes out the bottom. And then I just stop once it hits. And then this, again, is I got made at the Etsy shop that I will have linked in the description box. This also really helps my back too because I don't have to bend over while I'm pouring. And it really makes it easier for Chris to pour as well. And then I do still have a full pouring pitcher right here that's going to go right next to that one for the large candles, but I am going to get this pitcher full for the 8 smaller candles. So I'm going to get that on there, tare that, get that going in the fragrance. And then now I'm just going through taking that first pouring pitcher that was just sitting there and I filled up this pistol funnel. I'm just filling up all 4 of these. All right, now I am going to be taking that pitcher and pouring in the wax to get started on filling up these tins. Now, these tins are actually pretty easy to pour into, but especially using this pistol funnel, it has just been even easier to pour into these ones. Now, this pistol funnel can get pretty heavy depending on how much wax you put in there, so you do have to kind of determine what is a comfortable weight for you to have control over it. I know they also make ones that are rather large, But again, I don't want to push myself in having this huge pistol funnel just to not have to re-pour as frequently. It doesn't really bother me to have to pour in that extra wax. I just like to be able to have as much control as possible. So this is the process of me bulk making my candles, and I will just repeat these steps and how I did this multiple times for all of the other scents that I'm going to be making. And then as soon as I'm done with those rest of those 2 scents over there, I'm going to go through and do another refill with the fragrance oil with the other 3 scents that I'm going to be pouring. So that is basically how I go about doing everything. Getting the digiboil and the extra or the larger pot that I have right there has made bulk making so much easier. I don't think that you could do this without it. You probably could with a larger Presto pot, because I definitely did bulk make my candles with that, but I did have to take more breaks to be able to refill. So earlier this morning I went through and I filled up the wax almost to the very top. And then I also filled up my beeswax as well. And it just makes it so much easier. And again, when I'm in the zone, I could probably get this done in about an hour. So I could probably get 80 candles poured in about an hour once I have all of the fragrance oils set up and I have enough wax and I just have my rhythm going and I'm not distracted. I could probably get it done in about an hour. And if I had the space, I could pour a lot more candles at one time. But I really, really hope this video was helpful for you. If there is anything I did not go over in this video and you still have questions on, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave it a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at Memory Box Candle Co. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.